Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our conjunction video of the week. And this week, we're going to be covering our conjunction of Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Rahu. And what happens when these four planets are conjunct in your horoscope. And as always, if you do not know, if you have this conjunction, what your other planetary placements are, all your astrological details. For that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, Aspects, and Mahadasha at the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link. So, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Rahu conjunction. Well, first of all, what is Sun? Father, authorities, government, ego, self-esteem, confidence. In a nutshell. It can represent gold and solar panels and solar energy. It can represent heart. I mean, we can keep going and going and going and going. It can represent temples. Then moon. Moon is the mother, emotions, our comfort, happiness, our mind, obviously. It's our Akashic record, meaning everything that we have lived in previous lives is pretty much stored in moon. If you know, there's so many secrets about the moon, you guys have no idea. I'm slowly discovering them. That just by moon itself, I mean, there are astrologers out there. They just want your moon placement and nakshatra and the padha, and that's it. They will line your whole life in front of you. So, I'm telling you, astrology is just sometimes when I go deep into astrology, then I think like, man, well, what is the use? I'm just going to keep going deeper and deeper, and it's a never-ending thing. And how much do I need to learn to really make sure what's going on in the person's life? This thing is like, this is why they call it super science, not just anything but super science, which is beyond the understanding of a normal scientist or a human being, I would say. And then you have Jupiter. Jupiter represents teachers, preachers, counselors, advisors, gurus. It is higher educational institutes. It represents all the living entities, Jiva. This is why Jupiter represents Jiva, meaning biology. Environmental sciences, Jupiter. Jupiter also represents publishing, teaching. Then you have Rahu. Rahu is this Maya, this illusion that we are in right now. Because we think we are who we are. Like, hey, this is my hand, this is my, glasses, my hair. I am an ego that is represented in front of you. Well, that's not it. So Rahu kind of like take all these things and puts it within us. Rahu represents new age technology, software technology, and then photography and cinema, and all the things like alcohol and drugs and all the things that we enjoy in this three-dimensional plane. Now, many will say, well, that's bad. Not really. Remember, there are two gurus in astrology, Jupiter and Venus. One is a guru of the Devas. One is a guru of the Asuras. Both need to coexist in order for manifestation to take place. And this is some deep, deep stuff that I'm going into, which is going to be hard for other people to grasp. But you always got to remember, when you talk about gurus and teachers, don't just look at Jupiter. Make sure you know what Venus is also doing. Venus is just as powerful, if not more powerful than Jupiter, because Venus has the Sanjeevani mantra. Mahamrityu Sanjeevani mantra. So let's talk about this conjunction. So first thing about this conjunction we can say is that you grew up with parents who are very unorthodox, who are kind of like taught you things in life which were kind of like against the social norms of society. Whether good or bad, we don't know, because everybody thinks like what I learned is good, what you learned is bad, and we can go argue about this all day. So this is why there's no good or bad, but shows that whatever they taught you was kind of like different. So let's say if all your friends were going to normal schools, your cousins were going to normal schools and learning about normal things in life, your parents probably homeschooled you, or your parents wanted to send you to a very creative school where you learn more through your brain and how your brain works than what normal people are doing. Now, for a child, it'll be like, no, I want to be with my friends. I want to feel normal. And you don't see the fact that your parents are trying to teach you something which perhaps the world should be teaching you. This is where this Rahu comes into play in this conjunction, because Rahu is taking the qualities of all these three planets and then becoming huge, because it's becoming like a huge sun. It's like putting this mirror in front of himself, showing that it's a sun. It also becomes moon. It also becomes this great teacher. And because sun and moon represents your father, mother, and Jupiter represents teaching, the teachings of the parents are very unusual and unorthodox, something against the social norms of society. This can also show, let's say, instead of you going out and smoking with your friends, drinking with your friends, your parents said, no, you can drink and smoke, you can do it at home. So we can control you, we can see what you're doing. Now, for many, we'll be like, oh my God, what kind of parents are these? For them, they're like, at least we're keeping our child safe. This also shows that your father hurt your ego a lot growing up. Kind of always put a eclipse on your self-esteem, your ego, who you were as a person. So you could not go out there and feel confident as a person because you always felt like, I'm not worthy, because my father says I'm not worthy of anything. You know how Indian parents are? Mother, father, both. They're like, oh my God, I wish you weren't born. And since you were born, my nose in society has been cut and whatnot. What happens is, father thinks that he's trying to teach the son by being so harsh on him, where the father has no clue that it just damaged the son's ego for him to go out there and do anything. Because why do children do something in life? Why do children want to perform good in school? They want to impress the parents. But when a child feels like you damaged me so much, I don't really care to impress you. So then a child feels like, well, if I don't really care to impress my parents, I don't care if I'm impressed with my studies, whatever. That's what happens. And this also shows that a person, especially depending upon the sign that this conjunction is happening in, you may come across a teacher or a guru who will pretend to be like your second mother or father. However, they could do this by taking advantage of you. Like if you hear about Catholic priests, they treat you like, oh, you are my son, you are my daughter, but then they molest you. So you can get this pretentious teacher guru in your life, especially depending upon the sign and how close this conjunction is happening in your chart. But because both sun, moon, and Jupiter represents who you are as a person. Why? Because this is our ego, personality, our confidence. This is our mind, what we think, what our happiness is, and this is our morals. What our morals, what our principles in life, this is what makes us who we are. So having these three planets with Rahu can also show somebody who's very dynamic, somebody who's very unorthodox in a way where they look at things in a very different way. They see things outside the box. They don't see themselves in a cubicle with everybody else doing all the work on a computer as an IT professional or finance professional. They're like, no, there's more to this cubicle than what they're telling me it is. And they look at things outside and they're like, whoa, this is a big manipulative game. Okay, I gotta get out of this. So you will have friends who have this, who are always trying to just do something different. They're trying to be entrepreneurial. They're trying to start this business and they're trying to travel the world. They sometimes then suddenly go into spirituality. Then they come back and try to do something else. It's kind of like a very unpredictable personality, especially because of Rahu being there. Rahu can act good, really good, or Rahu can act bad. Like a person may reject alcohol and smoking because they see everybody around them doing this. Or this person can be smoking and drinking since they were 12 and 13. And they become alcoholics by the time they're like 18, 21. So you really have to be sensitive as to where this conjunction is taking place, what house it's in, what sign it's in. And then you can make a determination, whichever planet, if let's say sun is strong, in Aries, This can show that this person's ego is far more overbloated due to their knowledge, due to the pride of the family. So regardless of how much you hate them, they always somehow know how to bring the other person down. Then it becomes too much. Like they're out on a party. Instead of just acting normal, they're always trying to like, look, oh yeah, I got this $1 million deal. Oh, I just bought a Bentley. Oh yeah, I have a very, very nice car. And it's just, because of the fact they're intelligent, they come from a good family, and by those two things, they're boosting their ego, which is that Rahu. And in a normal case, like in Gemini, or let's say even in Virgo, this can become a neutral. Like a person can have intelligence, and they may use that ego of Rahu sometimes if they're pushed. Like if you start making fun of this person at a party, and then suddenly they ask you something and does something, you're like, whoa, okay, the ball's now on my court, because you push them. Otherwise, they could be like, computer engineers, they could be scientists, and you, especially Rahu is a scientist. Jupiter represents higher knowledge. I mean, this can represent a very genius scientist in play. Some rocket scientist, for that matter, some physicist. I mean, all of these things can be possible, but Rahu just simply makes a lot of things unpredictable. Like, especially whenever you understand the conjunction of Rahu, you can't really always pinpoint what the conjunction is doing in a horoscope. Because Rahu is a very manipulative planet, where it can say that I am doing this to this person while it's doing something completely different. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Rahu conjunction. If you don't know my channel, subscribe below. Again, if you want to know where your planetary placements are, all your books, reports, and consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.